Hey everyone, it's me, Moonbuster Green, and I'm continuing to have a massively busy weekend. But, alright, in this video, I need to talk about the Electric State. I need to explain what that is, and why I think, unfortunately, it's been ruined. Now, before I explain how it's been ruined and who it's been ruined by, I gotta explain to you guys what that is. So the Electric State was originally created by Swedish artist Simon Stålenhag, who I would perhaps coin as the world's current most powerful concept artist. The idea being that once in a generation, an artist comes along who becomes the world's most powerful concept artist, a person who is simply so good at making real and shocking pieces of art that Hollywood comes knocking at their door and turns everything they make into pure cinematic gold. Previously, I can say in the 1970s, this title was held by H.R. Giger, who had his weird pornographic monster ladies turned into successful horror movies for years. And then after Giger, the real king of the title was Syd Mead. Syd Mead was an American industrial designer and neo-futurist concept artist, originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. He originally started as a concept artist for the Ford Motor Company, but then moved to Europe where he refined his style and skill. Who from the 80s to the early 2000s was absolutely the god at drawing futuristic cars, futuristic robots, and helping out Hollywood all along the way. Major directors in Hollywood and Japan would come knocking at his door, and if you ever saw Blade Runner, Tron, or Turn A Gundam, those all came straight out of Syd Mead's head. When I was younger, I really admired Syd Mead, and I wish I could have gone up to his level, but I never really did. But you know who did? Simon Stålenhag, an artist in Stockholm who had that same childhood dream of surpassing Syd Mead, and by God, he eventually did get up to and beyond Syd Mead's level, and has now seemingly inherited Syd Mead's title as the world's most currently powerful concept artist. In 2016, Stålenhag published a book called Tales from the Loop, a two-part art book originally intended to set up for a Dungeons & Dragons style tabletop RPG about various children in a town where an unregulated particle accelerator was releasing untold horrors from another dimension, melting their houses, abducting the children, sucking people into mysterious portals. Not the most original story, kinda sounds like Stranger Things mixed with Half-Life, but overall it was a fantastic enough concept that Hollywood came knocking at his door. Tales from the Loop exceeded all expectations, and based on how good it was, Amazon immediately greenlit it as an 8-episode sci-fi anthology series. Now, I tried watching Tales from the Loop, the series. It wasn't quite for me. It was a little bit too slow-paced. It felt like a very slow version of The Twilight Zone with much better special effects. I will at least give it credit for its cinematography and parts of it that resemble an old Norman Rockwell painting gone horribly wrong. But anyway, by all accounts, Tales from the Loop was a big success. It went on to be nominated for 2 Emmys, and Stålenhag basically became officially the new greatest concept artist in the world, and he entered the public consciousness. As a result, 2 years later, he published his next book, The Electric State, and that's the one we need to talk about today. Now, The Electric State is an absolutely chilling art book. Since everything in The Electric State is conveyed with pictures and not words, it's difficult to exactly piece together what happened, and that means you get to use your imagination on it. So here's what I imagine happens in the Electric States. The major beats are as follows. It takes place in the United States, and it seems like it's the 1990s, but it could actually be 2024, and maybe civilization just died and stood still in the 90s. But either way, what's gone down is an AI apocalypse has destroyed the world. It's killed 98% of the human race, taken them out of the equation, and what seems to have happened is that a majority of the world's gamers got addicted to some weird VR headset game. I don't know what the game was called. Maybe it was called Pop-Tart Online. Anyway, something horribly wrong happened one day in Pop-Tart Online, and everyone playing the game ended up dying or unable to log out and unable to disconnect from their VR headset, and they all starved to death. Anyway, I'm making that up, but maybe another scenario is the AI just downloaded a computer virus into everyone's brains and killed them that way. Or maybe it showed them a flashing picture of Porygon from that one episode, and they all died of seizures. Either way, that's how a majority of people died in this world. Now, I'm assuming based on the flow of the book that killing off the gamers was just the AI's first move, and then we come to the second move. After that, not everyone plays video games, you know, so the AI's second move was that seemingly also in this universe, there just coincidentally happened to be a weird population of giant mascot robots. Now, I'm not sure why this became a thing. I can only imagine that this existed for like a Thanksgiving parade or a theme park, but supposedly in this universe, there were thousands of worthless, weird, gigantic advertising robots everywhere. It seems kind of like a callback to that shortly lived trend in the 1950s where gas stations and diners thought having a statue of a giant man in front of them would make them stand out. Anyway, it seems that after killing all the gamers, the giant robots then went maverick and proceeded to kill off everyone else who wasn't a gamer. The military, old people, anyone who was left. So then after this and this happened, 98% of the population is dead, and the story actually starts. The story follows an innocent young girl and an innocent non-maverick robot who go on a road trip together across the United States, seemingly surveying all the damage, looking for food, looking for survivors, while on the constant lookout for giant additional advertising robots who would surely kill on them and stomp them to death with their giant feet. Now, the robot is obviously like white knighting for the girl. He's trying to protect her. And yeah, the robot is doing good against the constant threat that he might also go maverick somehow by being infected with the same AI virus. And also, the robot is the same size as the girl, so he can't possibly defend her from these giant 5-story tall advertising robots. So yeah, that's what's going on. So they're going along from town to town, scavenging, and eventually they reach the major cities where they find these hideous electric beehives covered with corporate logos, seemingly looking like the hive minds for the AI overlords that have conquered America, kind of conjuring up some images of the towers from the Matrix or the Borg from Star Trek. So yeah, essentially this boils down to it's The Last of Us, but if the dad was a robot and if the robots were robots instead of zombies. And yeah, it's got this extra level of, hey, corporate America got too greedy. They got too much with invasive advertising. They got too much with unregulated AI, and we all fucking died from it. Now, I feel like I should mention that currently we're in an atmosphere where this is kind of sort of possible because AI is coming dangerously close to going maverick and killing us all in some way. Some of the experts have said it's a real possibility. And now Elon Musk is all here advocating for Android slaves. So yeah, all of a sudden the electric state is very, very real and a very real threat. At least realer than The Last of Us, which just came down to random zombies because mushrooms got mad. I was severely looking forward to a book-accurate adaptation of this as a movie because I think in the proper hands, the electric state with a ruthless horror action director could be a legendary horror survival masterpiece. And we are getting a movie, but it doesn't look like it's going to be good. Now, a few months ago, I heard about the movie, and that's kind of what made me excited about the project again, because I had kind of forgotten about it. Initially, I heard the Russo brothers were directing it, and that would make it their first big passion project after doing Avengers Endgame. And I think, oh, well, that's great. They're trying to prove themselves. They surely won't fuck this up, because usually as it goes in Hollywood, if a major director makes $1 billion blockbuster, they get handed their dream movie, their wish movie, a movie that legitimizes themselves as true Hollywood directors. Christopher Nolan made Inception after he made it big out in The Dark Knight, and now this was going to be the Russo brothers' chance to prove themselves. And I fully support this part of the studio system because that's always been the Hollywood dream. You help the studio helps you, and that's how you make it big. But unfortunately, it seems like the electric state is just not living up to its original vision of a horror survival AI dystopia. The first trailer came out last week, and it was so bad that I'm already wishing that they would remake this movie. Now, let's talk about the production of the movie, because there's enough known about that right now that I can already see the writing on the wall that this is going wrong. My first hint that something had dramatically gone wrong was a news blurb advertising that Woody Harrelson had been cast in the movie as a robot version of the irrelevant pop culture mascot, Mr. Peanut. Now, Mr. Peanut obviously was not in the original story, I think. Maybe he was there as a joke cameo. Maybe he was there as a weird product placement character. Or maybe they just accepted this deal with Planters Peanuts to put Mr. Peanut in the movie for some extra vital money because they were just short on money, because they directed Avengers Endgame and made no money. Maybe the film ends like Ghostbusters, and instead of them fighting a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the end boss could be a giant 60-foot-tall evil Mr. Peanut, breathing hellfire and expressing his great opulence with his monocle and top hat. That actually would be a questionable use of the property, but it would be thought-provoking for the audience because, yeah, Mr. Peanut, he's got that air of wealth and superiority. Wouldn't you, want to beat that guy down for, how, pompous he is? And that would be a direct juxtaposition against the girl in the story's uneducated survivor poverty. But then I also heard through the back alleys that the movie was not being developed for Netflix. It was instead being abandoned and dumped onto Netflix as a show of non-faith in what happened to the film. I'm not sure entirely what happened behind the scenes of the film, but something seems to have gone very, very wrong. Because initially in 2017, the initial rights to this book were enthusiastically snatched up by Universal Studios. They bought the rights to make a movie of this book before the book was even fully published. And then the Russos were immediately attached to make a movie of the book once again before the book was even published. And they were riding high on their MCU cloud in 2022. But yeah, something has definitely gone extremely wrong with the production of this film, and Universal had lost all faith in this version and pulled out of it. Netflix then swooped in at some point in the development of the film to either help film it or help finish it and get it farther along down the road to final release, and that's why it's being released straight onto Netflix. But then today the trailer dropped, and ugh. The trailer dropped, and it's a fucking celebrity cameo-driven comedy, not a fucking horror survival sci-fi film. Chris Pratt is in it, and he's just Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. He looks like he's playing himself. Mr. Peanut is literally a cast member of a bunch of corporate mascots, and he's literally just trying to sell players peanuts. The little girl from the art book is now a way too old, aged-up Millie Bobby Brown. Ugh, good grief. So yeah, this trailer has officially brought my expectations for this film crashing straight down to zero. Or maybe not zero, maybe it's like a 10 out of 100. I do still have some confidence in the Russo brothers that maybe they can still make a good movie. Maybe they wouldn't fuck this up. Everyone's got some really high confidence in them because they did right with Avengers Endgame, and surely the Russo brothers wouldn't be hacks, right? Surely they wouldn't ruin this like this. But yeah, I can already see in the trailer that the commercial robots haven't gone all the way Maverick. They've gone from brutal killing machines to the generally helpful defenders of the remains of humanity. Because, of course, why would corporate mascots ever go evil? Corporations are your friends, right? A corporation could never do anything evil. Anyway, so what I'm saying is based on the trailer. I don't like this at all. It looks like they fucking Disneyfied and babyfied what I was thinking was going to be the horror sci-fi master of the decade. So leave a comment here if you checked out The Electric State, either in its original horrifying concept art book or in this new very stupid looking trailer. Let me know what you think, because I'm really annoyed at this. Has Chris Pratt already ruined another classic movie, or do you have faith that the Russo brothers will somehow pull this out of the gutter and make it work, despite defanging a very potentially real AI apocalypse nightmare that the book was so vehement about warning us about? All right, I'm out. I'm pissed. Good night.